there are some laws that are absolute. Maybe.
Yeah, if we all had perfect wisdom, we'd need them.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when can you commit adultery? Maybe there's a time. Is that, I don't know. No? Okay.
Yeah, I'm a side.
Nina, I don't know.
It's not just about speech. It's not just about speech. It's how we interact. It's business legislation. It's all laws are arising around your ethics, and so it's true for everything at the city, state, national level. Most of our laws and rules are because we don't have enough collective wisdom to treat others the way we want to be treated.
Yeah. I think this is apocryphal, but it's attributed to Mark Twain. He says, when you're young, learn the rules really well so that when you're old, you know how to break them. But that's just wisdom, right? Wisdom is understanding why there's rules and what they're doing, and then you're actually living out the purpose, not the actual rule. Yeah. So again, that's true for all of these proverbs, not just the ones on speech. But the question for us today is, why so many are about speech and communication? Why so much of the book of Proverbs is devoted to this? One possibility is that the Proverbs themselves are speech. They're oral communication. Before they were written down and collected, these things were just passed down. People communicated just like parents and grandparents teach their kids. So there's already something inherently communicative, linguistic, oral about these proverbs. So maybe not surprising that they're very concerned with how we speak. The other thing is, and maybe the most important thing, is words are really powerful. You guys know the playground chant, sticks and stones can break my bones, but words. Is it true? It is not true. We want it to be true. But words absolutely can hurt. And on the other side of the coin, words can heal. So words have great power. It's paradoxical because it's not like a stick or a stone, which can literally break your bones. And yet words, in some sense, may be more powerful than sticks and stones. And the Proverbs point this out. So let's look at a couple real quick. Proverbs 10:20. Someone will read that.
The words of the godly are like sterling silver. The heart of a fool is worthless.
Okay. So a comparison to wealth, silver and gold. See something similar in 2015? Someone wants to read that one.
There is gold in abundance of costly stones, but the lips of knowledge are a precious jewel.
Good. So again, a sense of great wealth or great worth, that this is actually worth more than gold, just like it's more powerful than sticks and stones. And lots of proverbs point out this power of words. So since these are not about rules, but about wisdom, what I want to do is think about the underlying concerns. Okay, so there's lots of proverbs on telling the truth instead of lying. There's a lot of proverbs on not gossiping. There's a lot of proverbs on positive speech, gentle speech, patient speech, and so on. But instead of going through them like that, I want to go through them and think about what's behind these proverbs. Like, why should our speech be gentle? Or why should we not gossip? And so I've got four main underlying concerns here. And the first is integrity. So integrity literally means like wholeness. But here it's when our heart matches our actions. When our heart matches our actions. Are there times when our actions don't match our heart? Can you think of anything, Phil?
Lying.
Yeah. We say one thing, we have something else inside of us. Yeah, we have another motive, or, yeah. There's a lot of times where our outside doesn't match our inside. Yeah. But Proverbs is very concerned with the heart and making sure these things align. So I've got two here. Again, for all these, there's a dozen. I've just selected a couple. So if someone will read 26:23.
Are you going to hit
Yeah, we could hit Matthew, we could hit James. James has a lot to say about speech, the tongue.
What you say is complexity.
Yeah. So 26, 23.
Good words that hide an evil heart are like silver paint over a cheap clay pot.
Yeah, this is a vivid image. So what's this proverb saying, Mark?
Well, it's just like your heart's head, you're putting a painting over something that's to hide what's really behind it.
Yeah.
You can look sometimes at paintings. You got paintings that are painted over the original painting. That's what's really original. I don't know if that's a good example.
Yeah. It's like papering over what's really inside. Yeah, or putting a coat of paint over something instead of actually repairing it. Probably all done this at some point. Try to cover up damage or something broken with just a cover, paint, or paper. 1621. Good. So there's that sense that, again, in which the heart is what matters here. In Hebrew, heart had two meanings. The Hebrew word is leb. And it actually means mind. So sometimes you'll hear about the heart's understanding. And it also means emotions or affect. That's more the way we use it. But in Hebrew, heart included both mind and what we would call heart. Both intellect and emotions. And there's a concern that those things are lined up with our actions. What we think, what we feel, and what we do are all working together. That's integrity. Right? Any thoughts on that? I think it's probably true that people lean in one of these directions, but everyone has all of them, and the concern here is that they're all in sync, right? So I can say something that I don't mean, positively or negatively, right? I can say something I don't believe, positively or negatively, right? So there can be disconnects between our mind and our words, and between our heart and our words. But Proverbs says the wise person has all these things lined up. There's an integrity there. You're thinking, feeling, and speaking all in the same way. Is that hard to do? Yeah. And we've talked about the work that wisdom requires. This is a lifetime achievement to get to the point where you can be a person of integrity. It doesn't come easily for most of us. Okay. So, integrity is one of the underlying causes or underlying concerns for all the work in Proverbs on speech. A big one, maybe one of the biggest ones, is community. Why do we need to be careful about how we speak? Because how we speak affects other people, because it affects the community. And you see this in 11, 10, 11. So, someone read that one.
When good people are successful, the whole city is happy, and they all shout with joy when evil people are destroyed. You said 11?
Yeah, 10 and 11.
Blessings from the honest people living in a city will make it great but the things evil people say can destroy it.
Good. Yeah, mine has it even more clearly. There's in verse 11, the bit about the honest building it up. But in my translation, it says the mouth of the wicked will overthrow it. So again, sticks and stones break bones, but words can tear down a city. Words can tear down a country. That's the idea here. Honest words can build it up, but the mouth of the wicked, just the mouth, can overthrow it, tear it down, destroy it. So there's great power in words in terms of the life of the community. Church community, civic community, national community, every level. Right? And we, of course, live in a world where there's more words than ever, because there's more media and communication than ever. So there's more good words and there's more bad words. And it just makes for a confusing and challenging situation that we find ourselves in, right? So
it's even more confusing with AI.
Yeah.
And the ability to someone say something that they really didn't say.
Right, yeah.
It's like going through the Bible. Whenever you're listening to a preacher, that's why we have our Bibles, because you want to make sure the preacher's preaching what's coming from the Word.
Yeah.
And not Opinions chapter 3. But you follow along and make sure those are the correct words. You've got to go back to a correct source in our lives.
Yeah.
So just be careful.
It's hard to know who to trust. I've even seen AI-generated verses of the day that weren't actually from the Bible. The AI just made up Bible verses. So if you subscribe to one of these things, make sure you know where it's coming from. It sounded good, but it's not in there. So watch out for that. Yeah, I got a picture of it on my phone. Yeah. So these are some of the categories that Proverbs points out that specifically will break down a community. And the first is concerned with dishonest speech or false witness. I only have one verse here, 14:5. So if someone will look at that one, we're really only going to look at one example for these, but again, there's multiple proverbs for each category. Go ahead.
A scorner seeketh wisdom, and findeth it not. But knowledge is easy unto him that understandeth.
Oh, I think you're one verse ahead. Look at verse 5, 14:5.
No extra charge. A faithful witness will not lie, but a false witness will utter lies.
Okay. So this is a specific kind of lying. It's lying in court. And all lies are harmful, potentially. All lies are bad. Because it's that disconnect between heart and action. But lying in court is especially bad. And you see why if you skip down to verse 25. Chapter 14, verse 25. Just the first part of that says what? Say it louder, Howard. Yeah. A true witness delivers souls. Why is it especially important in court to tell the truth? It saves lives, yeah. People can go to prison, or worse, if there is false testimony. And that was true then and it's true now. You know, if people are telling lies in public, it can be more harmful than if they're telling lies in private, because it affects more people. Same principle there. So false witness of any sort, or dishonest speech, is harmful to the community. Breaks down trust and can lead to loss of life. The next one concerns actually what Phil read about the scorner or the mocker. So we'll just, this is all over the Proverbs, the scorner and the mocker. We'll just look at 1:21, 24. Someone read that.
Scoffer is the name of the arrogant, haughty man who acts with arrogant pride.
Okay. So what's a mocker? What's a scoffer, scorner? Yeah, could make fun of other people. What is he characterized by in this verse?
Being arrogant and haughty, so he kind of thinks he's better than other people.
Yeah, arrogant, haughty. See, chapter 14:21 says this is someone who despises his neighbors, who looks down on the poor. So that can be connected to arrogance or pride as well. Someone looking out for themselves and not for others. So this can take a positive form of mocking, like literally mocking or despising. Again, social media in our world is full of examples of people just being disrespectful, making fun of other people. On the flip side, it can just be neglecting. I'm so busy with my stuff. My stuff is so important. I'm not looking out for others like the poor. Both of those would be considered scoffers or mockers in Proverbs. So I'm not. We looked last time in the justice theme that one thing the wise person does is speak for the voiceless. Right? I'm looking out for who's not being heard. I'm looking out for who's neglected, and I'm actually lifting them up. But the mocker doesn't speak for the voices, just for themselves. That's harmful to the body politic as well. Gossip. 4:13.
Keep hold of instruction, do not let go, guard her, for she is your life.
It doesn't sound like gossip. Maybe I'm the wrong thing. Let's look at 26:20. Try that. Yeah, sure, that works. 26:20.
For lack of wood, the fire goes out, and where there is no whisperer, quarreling ceases.
The whisperer here would be a gossip. So what's the analogy, Drew?
So, like you said, whispering?
Well, what's the analogy in this Proverbs about gossiping?
Puts out a fire.
In what way? What is gossip doing, though?
Fueling the fire.
Yeah.
That's what it fuels.
Yeah. When you gossip, it fuels the fire, it keeps it burning. To starve the fire, you stop the whispering, you stop the gossip. We don't talk when we think about sin. I don't think gossip rises high on the list. It's not like a Ten Commandment level sin. But there are a few things that will destroy, especially a small community, quicker than whispering or gossip.
I agree with that, because we all, you got your 6 or 7 top dogs that's mentioned in the Bible.
Yeah.
That we hit hard in sermons on just a couple of them. It seems like in my lifetime. But gossip is one that it's never been preached on a regular basis.
Yeah, and it tears
And
people's
it tears
lives.
people down.
It is absolutely one of the most destructive sins. Does anyone have a good definition for gossip? Because it's not just talking about people. We talk about people all the time. It's not necessarily a bad thing. So when does that move into gossip territory?
When you tear it down and you're not got the correct information.
When you're tearing down, and yeah, the information's not always right.
I mean, I think even if there are things that are true, there are just certain things that people don't need to know about other people. Especially if that person says, like, don't tell anyone about this or something like that.
Yeah.
That's loyalty, I guess. But I don't know. I think there can be like facts that are going around that are objectively true that are still things you should repeat.
Yeah.
And you got to be careful when you hear someone start a sentence with, "Well, I heard."
Yes. Yeah. I mean, Candace and I both work at university with a lot of students, right? And we have to be careful if we're talking about the students that we're working with. You can't just talk about things going on with the lives of the student. That's their stories, their concerns. But there are times when we need to talk about the student, and that's a time when we might need to help them.
But that's the difference. The context is to help.
Yes.
And that's kind of what Nathan was saying.
Right.
The context and the intent of that discussion.
So one simple definition is, to kind of pull all that together, is gossip is talking about a person or situation when you are not part of the solution.
You don't have to preach about that next week, but maybe before you.
Working in. Yeah. Yeah. So that's a big one. Again, it comes up over and over again in the Proverbs. Don't gossip. And it would be worth, more than one sermon. Good. And then there's this kind of amorphous category of the speech of the wicked or the speech of the godless. So 1528 is an example of this. This isn't just about atheists in the community, I think. Atheists can be upstanding citizens. It's not that. I think it's speech that it's not rooted in anything deeper. So meaningless, we would use a fancy word, I think, nihilistic, pointless, nothingness. People who just don't take it seriously. Of course, wicked does have a moral sense to it as well, but...
You say 1528?
Yeah, you can read it.
Let me read it. It's not an easy read. But good people think before they answer, but the wicked do not, and what they say causes trouble.
So how would you put it in your
I had
words?
a person, and that's in interviewing, someone had taught me years ago, hey, when you're interviewing, it's not bad when someone asks you a question in an interview to kind of stop and think before you answer.
Yeah.
You want to make sure you give a good, solid answer. Well, the same thing is when you're talking scripture or talking about the Bible. It's not bad to hesitate and say, you know what, let's go to the Bible on this one, read a couple of verses, and then say, let's discuss it together. Or kind of think before you answer to make sure your thoughts are how you want them to be.
Yeah, that's definitely good advice. Always think before you answer and speak. But I think this is even at a deeper level. The wicked are not just people with a bad habit of speaking off the top of their head. But I think wicked here, or godless, is the sense that the words just don't matter. I can say whatever I want to say, and it doesn't. There's nothing deeper there. Right now, I haven't thought in the moment, but I'm not thinking at all. I'm just talking, saying things. And our world's full of that. Great.
I kind of think the wicked is those who intend on tearing down instead of building up, even out of words, thoughts, or deeds.
Yeah. Yeah, and we can, those who are actively, seeking to tear it down. I think that's in part of this as well. Yeah. Well, really quick, I want to get to this because there's some positive things here. We can't cover all of it. I will point out that there's a separate category here for family and marriage. So there's a lot of verses that say things like, better live in the corner of the roof than to live with a contentious wife, a nagging wife, a complaining wife. You may pick up on a theme here. Proverbs is written for men, and it's only complaints about women. We have to make those translations, right? These things work both ways, right? And so in a marriage or a family, good communication is also essential. Yeah. And then the last thing is Proverbs is very concerned with character formation. And speech is really about making us into certain kind of people. It's connected to this integrity point. We've seen in the first few chapters that we're counseled to listen to the wise. The young man in chapter 1 and 2, listen to your parents, listen to the wise. We're counseled to transform the heart. If we want to speak well, our heart needs to be changed. And as Brett pointed out, Jesus made some similar points about out of a certain kind of heart, the mouth speaks. And then this is what I want to wrap up with. What does good character actually look like in speech? Plenty of examples. We don't have time to read the positives. Honesty. Speaking with kindness or gentleness. We could use the word respect here that some of you have said. And then maybe we'll just conclude with 1727. Patience or restraint in speech. This kind of gets to Hal's point about sometimes the best kind of speech is silence. has knowledge spares his words, and a man of understanding is of calm spirit. We live in a world that promotes speaking all the time, speaking as often as possible, speaking as loudly as possible, in person, but also online. But the wisdom of Proverbs is speak less. Speak less. Restrain your speech. Because it's so powerful. And once it comes out, it can't get put back in. And this is maybe the greatest mark of wisdom, is that patience or calmness or restraint in speech. All right. We have to stop here, big topic, but we're going to move on next week to another theme. Thanks. Great comments today. Always good comments, but especially good comments this morning. We'll be back together about 10 minutes for